All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 299 of the Restoring Rapport podcast. We're super excited for the content we got planned up for you guys today. As always, this is a podcast for young believers who are pursuing the goal of marriage and family and looking to get married as young as possible in a healthy way. I'm your host, Seth. I come on twice a week every week on Thursday and Sunday to discuss not only the benefits of getting married young, but I attempt to equip and encourage you in your pursuit of that goal. And today we are going to be reviewing an interview actually, of Sadie Robertson and her husband. The interview was conducted by Matt and Abby Howard, who we've reviewed on the show before. Really excited for this, especially because, guys, we are on 299. This is a huge stepping stone for the show. We're crossing the threshold into 300 published episodes. Really excited for this, and I hope you guys enjoy as well. But without further ado, let's go ahead and see what they're talking about. The title of the video is Duck Dynasty, Traumatic Birth, and Marrying My Celebrity Crush with Sadie Robertson and Christian Huff. I'm going to skip to the part where she's talking about basically how she met her husband, her dating experience, and then, getting married to her husband, because that's the part that's relevant to you guys as young believers who are pursuing the goal of marriage and family. I'm just going to kind of react to her story and basically talk about the decisions that they made. And of course, go check out Sadie and her husband, Christian. I believe they're married now, if you'd like to, on social media. But without further ado, let's go ahead and see what she says.
And the day before I met Christian, I was in another relationship, and I was like, I really feel like it's time to break up with this person. And I had just kind of been on this, honestly, like unhealthy pattern of just like dating people, breaking up. And I was like so desperate to find like the one, but I was just in a bad headspace. Like I feel like my desperation for that kind of took away from like the beauty of what that actually means to like find the person you're gonna spend your life with.
Before she moves on here, I think people who are find themselves in a cycle of breakup after breakup after breakup are not necessarily as desperate for finding a long-term spouse as they think they are, simply because breaking up is not how you get to a spouse. That's how a lot of people date to have fun, and you can have fun while you're breaking up with people like that. A lot of people date for other reasons, but if you're dating to actually marry somebody, then you shouldn't be pulling the trigger that often. You shouldn't be actually missing. Like, you need to think before you leap, look before you leap, like we talked about in the last episode. And basically, know everything that you need to know about your partner before you start dating, so that you're not breaking up with all these people. Like, I feel like there's this Christian idea of like, ask God throughout your relationship if it's a good idea and if you still need to be dating this person. And my philosophy around that is, sweetheart, you need to ask God way before you even start dating this person. And don't start dating them if God says anything but yes, a clear and emphatic yes. So if you're still having reservations, if you're still having doubts about whether or not you should enter a relationship with this person, then please don't do it. Just stay friends and keep going on dates.
It had just honestly become a distraction in my life. And so I broke up with this guy, and I had this super honest conversation with my friends. Like, I got to be done with dating for a while. Like, I just am seeing myself being desperate for this thing. And I think it's actually distracting me of what that actually is like all about and what God has for me. And I just want to like recenter myself and like trust that God has that person in my life. So I had this honest conversation with them about how I'm done dating tomorrow.
Okay. So she's talked several times about, being desperate for a relationship. And I actually think that's a good thing, not in the sense of making bad decisions because you're desperate. I think that's obviously a bad idea. But I think that finding yourself in a situation where you realize, holy cow, I don't want to be where I am in 5 years. I actually want to be married. I want to be moving towards the goal of marriage and family. I want to have kids one day. I want to be pursuing God's design for a healthy sexual life. I want to be living more of my life with my spouse rather than less of my life with my spouse. I think realizing that and being desperate to change that and be proactive in your own decision making so that you end up where God wants you to be is actually a good idea. So desperation, I think, is good, because that's one of the good things that will get you off of a passive butt. And I'm laughing, but it's really true. Like, most incentives that we use to get men and women to basically get up off the couch and make something of themselves are simply not strong enough to produce the change that we're trying to create. But the desperation for finding a spouse is a very strong motivator that can be used for good. And so I don't think that desperation is necessarily a bad thing. I just think that if you couple desperation with poor decision making, that's when you get a really disastrous life situation.
really need to slow down, all this stuff. And I make a video with my friends on July 2nd, 2018 saying, I'm done dating. I'm holding myself accountable to y'all and myself by making this video. It's like so dramatic. Literally, July 3rd, 2018, I'm walking on the beach and, sorry, I keep hitting this mic. I'm walking on the beach and his cousin had messaged me the day before because they all knew my sister.
I met Bella the year prior. They knew
my sister from like being down in Seaside. And so anyways, his cousin messaged me. It was like, hey, we're all at the beach. Like, we'd love to meet you. We know your sister. I'm thinking, yeah. And I actually told her we're going crab hunting, which this was not killing crabs. This was just catching them, putting them back on the beach. And so I said, we're going crab hunting. We have extra nets. Y'all should come. Thinking it's just going to be the girls that were coming. And so they come walking up and Christian's with them.
I tagged along for that.
Yeah. So Christian comes and...
I wasn't going to miss out on the crab hunting.
Yes. So he knew I was coming. I didn't know he was coming because, again, freshman year, like he knew of me. And I was like, okay, so I see Christian walking up and I turn around to my friends and I said, delete the video. I was like, he's so cute. Like, I knew. It was like love at first sight. It was like... I know I said this yesterday, but today, like, this is a new story.
Wait, this video, was it something you had already...
Okay, so that's the problem with swearing off dating when you're in your prime and when you're in the season of life where I would say God is like calling you to start developing yourself as a spouse and moving towards the goal of marriage and looking for potential marriage prospects. Like, don't swear off marriage or dating in the season of like your youth. That's when you're supposed to be doing it. Like, do you want to live your whole life or, into your late 20s, early 30s, even 40s without somebody? Because most people will say no to that question. So if that's not your goal, then that leaves your late teens and early 20s for you to be actually proactively seeking out godly men and women to surround yourself with as marriage prospects. And so don't avoid or somehow put off opportunities to be looking for those. I know Sadie just explained that she had an unhealthy relationship with, her mindset when it came to dating, and that's all well and good. But fix the mindset. Don't swear off dating. If you're approaching dating from an unhealthy way, like, don't get rid of dating. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't throw away the only way you have of finding a spouse. But you need to fix your approach. You do it right. You don't just stop doing it. Because again, if you stop doing it, that's how you find yourself, later into life than you would like with no prospects.
Posted online?
Well, no, it wasn't to be posted. I just made a video with my friend saying, like, I'm not going to date. Yeah, I was like, gotcha. I'm not going to date for a while. And so I made this video and I said, July 2nd, 2018, this is me saying I'm not going to date for a while. We're holding myself accountable.
Got it.
And then July 3rd, I see Christian and I turn around and say, delete that video. Because I was like, oh shoot, like, he's so cute. And then they were like, no, don't even talk to him. Don't even look at him. Like,
they're trying to help you.
They're trying to
like,
help me.
And
Because
the whole
again,
night,
this is serious. See, I really did need to stop dating. I really did need a break. And so I see him.
But did you need to stop dating? Or did you need to do dating right? And again, some people will say, well, the only way you can do dating right is to stop dating. No, that's not how you stop. If you're doing dating wrong and you take a hiatus and you go back to doing dating wrong a year in the future, you're still going to find yourself in a disastrous situation after a bad situation. Like, you fix dating, you fix your dating approach by stopping and reflecting. What am I doing wrong here? What is the problem? Let me surround myself with mentors who know me really well, who can tell me what I'm doing wrong. Good friends like she seems like she has, who know me really well and who can honestly tell me and who have the strength in our connection to honestly tell me what I'm doing wrong, and then let them tell you and then fix those problems. Don't say I'm not going to date. That doesn't fix the problem. That only cuts down on the time that you're going to have with your partner in the future. And it cuts down on the limited time you have in your finite life. That's just basically putting off the problem. So you fix the problem, you don't swear off dating.
Him though, and I'm like, oh shoot, what am I gonna do? So the whole night I'm trying to not talk to him because they are like, don't talk to him, blah blah. And then he's not talking to me.
I'm talking to her friends the whole night because I'm like, my first time meeting you, I'm not gonna be like that overbearing.
So he's talking
person.
to my friends and like.
So I'm talking to her friends the whole time to kind of seem casual and like I've been here before.
And my friends are so beautiful, like literally a model.
Before.
And I was like, oh crap, like he's gonna date one of them. It's so annoying. Why did I make that stupid video? And so I was like, he's gonna date them, and one one of them. It's going to be fine. Whatever. Okay. Hold myself accountable. So I'm like talking to his girl cousins. And then at the end of the night, he comes up to me and he's like, hey, which this part embarrasses him so bad, but I love to tell this part.
It's tough.
Because now that like I know you, I'm like, I actually can't believe you did this either. Because it was so bold for you. You were like, he's like,
thanks, baby.
You're welcome. He was like, you follow everyone in my family but me on Instagram. And I was like, oh really? Which actually that was true. And I don't know why I just never followed Christian. Like my sister knew all of them.
You didn't want to like put yourself.
No, I just was like, I was just like, I'm not gonna follow him because I don't know you. But my sister was friends with all the girl cousins, like his brother, and I heard so much about them, so I followed all of them but Christian. And I was like, oh really? Okay, haha. And then I'm thinking like, okay, sweet, like that's interesting. He said that. So then I get home and I follow him back, but I don't even tell my friends I follow him back because I'm like, they're gonna be like, don't do this. And so I see a DM pop up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he already DM'd me. This is crazy. So I click on it and
Well, I don't think there's anything weird about not telling your friends when you sort of start putting out your feelers into different areas to see if there are people there. Like, I don't think that's weird. But I do think it's weird if you start committed relationships with somebody and then don't keep your friends and family and those closest to you involved in the picture. Because again, it's like, why keep them in the dark? Dating is all about, just like she said, accountability and, openness. And I'm proud of this decision I'm making. And, I want everyone to know about it to make sure that I'm held accountable and that I basically can't just do whatever I want with no consequence or fewer consequences. Like, I think you should put as many consequences on yourself as possible when you're dating, so that you make good decisions while you're dating. And so yeah, I don't think there's anything weird about that. Like, I don't tell when I was in my season of dating, I didn't tell my family immediately when I started reaching out to Lainey, my wife. And talking to her, I didn't tell them right away because, again, there's nothing to tell then. It's like you're just talking to somebody and seeing if there's any potential there. It's not like there's been a relationship entered.
It was actually from 2 years before. And it was like from him, and he was like, hey, he saw me at Passion Conference speaking, and he said, I saw you at Passion Conference, and I just think it's amazing what God's doing in your life. I just think it's so awesome what you're doing, like standing for him. And he was like, just want to send you this encouragement, like keep going. And then he said, and I also think you're the most beautiful girl in the world. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then I'm sitting on this like sweet DM from 2 years ago. I'm like, what am I going to do? So anyways, finally.
You sat on it for 3.
This is kind of funny because let's look at this from this guy's perspective. Okay, so he sent her that message 2 years ago being extremely forward. First of all, saying, I'm really impressed by what God is doing in your life. Thank you for partnering with him, all that. So announcing that he's a believer, encouraging her in what she's doing. And then at the very end, basically coming out the gate swinging, total vulnerability and honesty here, basically saying, and I also, by the way, I think you're the most beautiful girl in the world. And then he meets her 2 years later in person. I would have been talking to her friends instead of her too. I mean, that is a seriously vulnerable situation for him to find himself in because, he's let her know where he stands on this, and to then receive no, text back or even an acknowledgement of her reading the message. For him to actually be around her is going to be super awkward. Just put yourself in that situation for a minute. I kudos to this guy for doing that. And again, it's probably because of how Instagram works. You have to follow each other in order to see messages that pop up. Even sometimes they'll be in a request box sometimes. But I mean, you guys all know how social media works. She probably didn't even see that message, especially because she had so many followers.
3 days.
I did sit on it.
Do you
for
remember
3
sending
days.
that DM?
Yes, I do. I don't remember typing it out, but I remember shooting my shot.
Did you actually say though? I think you're the in quotes.
I did.
I
He
think you're the
literally
most
did.
beautiful girl in the world.
He
I did
straight
say
up did.
that.
I actually can't. That's why I said
Bold.
he was so bold, and like you're kind of shy in a lot of scenarios. So
Yeah.
I was so shocked that he said that. Now it's even more shocking that we're married and I know you so well, because I'm like, that was really bold and brave of you. But when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the nicest thing ever.
Thank you to Factor for sponsoring this portion of today's episode. I never understood how moms would be like, I forgot to eat lunch. Like, oh,
It's a problem.
I never.
Leading up to that, I was not super serious about my faith, which is why I was, with women like that. And then when I finally, like a year prior to meeting Sadie, I really got serious about my faith. God did a lot in my life from that. And then, so I had a year of like really kind of getting to know God and who he was and what his plan for me was. And then by the time I met
And the
Sadie,
type of relationship you might want
I was
one
actually,
day.
binge watched all these, sermons on dating well and how to pursue a woman and all
good.
these different things. So then when we actually got the chance to meet, it was like it was like a fresh start of like, okay, here's how I can actually do this. Here's the blueprint of how to, be successful in this and, to pursue it.
And it was really funny because there's this book called Single, Dating, Engaged, Married by Ben Stewart. We love Ben Stewart. He's an incredible pastor, wrote this great book. And I ended up reading the book later, and I was like, he's following this to a T. Like, it was so funny. I think he literally, like, said this to me, but I appreciate it because you were really trying to do things.
Like, I've heard this before.
I was like, you totally did that. But anyway, so we started talking all the time. He asked me on a date, and I was like, hey, when I said I need to slow things down, I really meant it, and it has nothing to do with you, but it really has everything to do with me. Like, I don't think I'm ready yet, but I gave him the date, like, September the 10th, if he wanted to take me on a date, which was like 2 months from the time he asked me. And he was like, that's 2 months away. I was like, yeah, but let's just keep getting to know each other. So we did. Then he came up to Nashville. Actually, these were our stomping grounds. We came to Franklin because that's where I was living. And
we got to think too, I was in college with like a couple thousand followers on Instagram,
Okay, well, here's where this is where it will bite you in the butt, guys. If you do this whole "I'm not dating for this period of time" thing, you may miss out on really good opportunities that the Lord is sending your way. And so I don't think that's a good idea. To say I'm not going to date for some, undefined period of time, or I'm not going to date until this day or something. Again, just because like maybe my wife probably has a different perspective on this issue than me. In the past when I was in a relationship that, first of all, I've never left a relationship. So when I was in a relationship where somebody left, it was not good for me to sit in that. I needed to get up and not lay around and not do nothing and not just stay in my head praying all day. I needed to take action and, do something, make a good decision. So that would look like going to actually look for women who are a better choice. So I just don't really understand this perspective of once you are in a failed relationship, just swearing off dating for a season. I don't understand that because it's like, don't swear off dating, fix your approach, and then immediately get back on your feet. I don't think staying down really helps you very much. And if this is different, like my wife has a different story than me. And if there's trauma involved, I can see that. Like I can see taking time so that you don't basically treat your new relationship like trash, and so that you're basically not reacting to everything your new partner says because you have that past baggage and trauma. I understand taking some time for that. But again, if you just left a relationship, or if you just were left by somebody, really, I don't think you should leave relationships. I think you should not enter them until you know you can cross the line into marriage with that person. But let's set that aside for a minute. If somebody leaves you in your relationship, I don't think you should take time off. I think you should be taking proactive steps right away and immediately to fix that, because the times in my life where I took time off, that not only ended up cutting into my timeline, like I lost time with my wife, but I also, I was barraged by more struggles than I needed to be during those seasons. It was basically harder on me because I made a bad choice to not immediately begin pursuing a woman who was better, essentially. And so that's what I would say to you guys. If it aligns with your worldview, take it and run with it. If not, if you understand Sadie Robertson's perspective, like all power to you.
And you're, super well known with like millions of followers. So it was even the early dynamic of like, stepping into something that's so outside of anything that I have a frame of reference for.
Was that intimidating? Like knowing, okay, I screw this up, I could be like the person the internet hates for like breaking Sadie Robertson's heart.
Sure.
I would have never done.
Well, yeah, and I'm glad he said that here. You don't have to do that. You can know before you enter the relationship, I'm actually not going to leave this woman. The only way this relationship ends is if she leaves me, and that's even a worse way to enter it, I would say, than, okay, I'm not going to leave this relationship, and I'm equally confident that my partner won't either. So this ends. The only way this ends is in us getting married. And even then, it's just the beginning. The only way this ends is basically when we die. That is a really beautiful way to enter a relationship. If you have that confidence in knowing that, you're in a good spot. And so again, I don't think there should be pressure there. I don't think he should have felt like, oh man, if I dump her, everyone on the internet's going to hate me because she's going to make a post about it. It's like, no, I know I'm not going to dump her because I control my actions. I control what I do. And I'm going to decide if I want to enter a relationship with her before I do it. And I'm going to decide if I can spend the rest of my life with her before I enter a relationship so that I will never dump her. I'm just not going to do it.
Dumped her. She was gonna dump me, but I talked her out of it.
You were? Yeah.
No way. Wait,
yeah.
Bro, why did I say
that? You did.
Triggered.
Okay, so this is.
I can't. It makes me so sad.
Well, actually, you didn't even know I tried to break up with him until I was telling the story one time, and he was like,
"This
you
was
were
like
breaking
6
up with
months
me?"
later,
and I was like, "You
I
didn't
did
know
not know.
that?" Like, I feel like I can communicate.
That was the end.
Yeah, no, that was almost the. Well, okay. Again, this was all on me. Like, it was all me. It was just.
Sounds like
and to your point too, kind of the same. I kind of thought I needed to date someone who understood like what my life was like, but actually I didn't. Like, I really needed the opposite, of that. I think part of our lives being so different is what attracted me to you, because I wanted the normal, I wanted it to just be normal. And I think I love that about you, and like the season you were in, just being in college, and like I love hanging out with all your college friends and just getting to be like a normal person that was 20 years old, because I felt like I wasn't sometimes like that. So anyways, when we went on our date, it was really great. It was really fun. He came up to here, and we had like 3 days in Nashville, just like hang out and get to know each other. He got to know my friends, and it was awesome.
I'm sorry. I don't think you can. Like, can you? Okay. Tell me if I'm wrong, guys. Like, I want to hear what you think on this. But I would be real. I understand being. How are you in a relationship with somebody who was trying to break up with you at one? Like, I don't understand that. And people will throw out timing and all this just crap reasoning that I don't understand. Honestly, I think it's just covering up. A poor decisions on one party's side. Like, I don't think you should break up with people. If you don't know something you need to know, don't enter the relationship. If you aren't sure that the person you're with is, or you want to be with, is, somebody that you can stick around with for the long haul, then don't enter the long haul. Like, don't start the relationship. Just keep going on dates and keep being friends, keep getting to know each other. Don't enter the committed relationship. Don't have the DTR. Don't have the defining the relationship moment if you can't know that you're going to stick around. And so that really triggers me when people like Sadie Robertson or, just famous Christian young people talk about, oh yeah, it was just not the right time for me. God just wanted me to break up. And they use all this passive language to excuse themselves from the decisions that they have made and that they should have had God's input on prior to making. That really triggers me. It's like, no, you don't ask God after you jump across the line into a committed relationship. You ask him before, and you have access to all the information you need to know to date someone and to marry someone prior to entering that dating relationship. So learn it, figure it out, and make a good decision based on what the Holy Spirit tells you. And so, golly, I really react to this, and it would impede my ability to connect with Lainey if she told me that at one point she was trying to find a way to leave me. Like, if somebody's trying to find a way to leave you or trying to figure out how to break up with you or trying to tell you that he or she is ending the relationship, it's like, my gosh, I mean, you're not even on the same team anymore. You're not romantic partners. You're not in love. You're not choosing the goal of marriage. You're basically just trying to let somebody off the hook in a way that won't damage them, which, by the way, is impossible after you make a bad choice and enter that relationship. So that just really triggers me. I don't know how they're as close as they are if she at one point was going to do that. That would really affect my ability to connect with my wife if I knew that she was trying to break up with me at one point in time, however long ago. I mean, that would really make things hard for me.
I thought it was fantastic.
Then, like 2 weeks later, I was just kind of like, "Oh man, I don't think I can do this. Like, I don't think I'm ready," because I was about to go on tour. My life.
Then don't enter the relationship. Like, if you don't think you can do it, then don't enter it. Why you don't just enter it and then change your mind? Like, this is crazy. And it's like, I don't care if you're about to go on tour. I'm sorry about being really rough, by the way. I'm sure Sadie Robertson is a great individual, awesome, doing lots of work for the Lord and the kingdom and all that. But like, and I'm not personally attacking her or anybody on the show when I review their videos, but I'm just saying, like, ask God before you jump, man. don't ask him after, because then there are consequences, big ones. Okay. And one of them is that, even if you stick around and you don't break up with your partner, that's going to be a serious obstacle in your relationship. Oh, by the way, you were going to leave me at one point. And like that would be really hard for me to get over. And so, and definitely don't use it's not going to work was the phrase she just used there. Like, really? It's not going to work if you don't make it work. You get to choose if it works or not. I've never understood the it's not going to work cop-out line when somebody's trying to get out of a relationship. It's not going to work. This is just not what God has for me. It's not a good time. It's not the right timing. It's not you, it's me. All that is bull crap for I entered a relationship without thinking ahead because I have no foresight, no wisdom, and no relationship to listening to the Holy Spirit. And so I overcommitted. I committed to something that I can't follow through with. And so here I am finding myself in a situation now where I'm backpedaling. I'm going back on my word. And and maybe when they entered this relationship, they were just entering it in a sort of, we'll see if it works out mindset. And hey, if the relationship wasn't that big of a deal to them, if they were just treating it like an experiment, like maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, then hey, no breach of contract, no breach of trust has been made here. But if they entered this relationship as, hey, I'm approaching this from the perspective of, I want to get married and I am not going to leave you. Like, once we start dating here, I want to get married. Like, there's going to be no in between, like maybe we break up. There's none of that. If we start dating right now, I'm moving towards the goal of marriage with you and I'm not going to stop. And I know everything that I need to know in order to see if that's a good decision or not right now. If they did that and then she backed out, it's like a break of a vow, in my opinion. I mean, it's like the person who is your teammate, who's supposed to be closer to you than any human relationship other than Jesus Christ, is now bailing on you. I mean, that's a terrible situation to find yourself in.
It was so crazy. And I just got in my head about like his life is so good. Like, he's in college, he like has all these great friends, he had this like super just like established normal life in the best way, and I felt like my life being as crazy it was would be like a burden to him. And so it was,
oh my word. Okay. If you think that you're a burden to your spouse, your significant other who loves you very much, not only are you wrong, but in any way leaving your significant other's life is going to do an insane amount of damage. So deluding yourself into thinking that you leaving is actually helping your partner is kind of wild to me. That is wild, because if your partner really loves you, you leaving is going to do nothing but harm. Nothing but harm.
Kind of like what is that called, like self-deprecating, where you're take yourself out of the equation because you don't think, like, I didn't think it was gonna be good for him. Like, I was like, this is too crazy, I don't want to do this.
It was something like you convinced yourself.
I convinced myself like it was kind of too good to be true, and I just need to remove myself from the situation. And like, you don't want to date me because this is gonna be so crazy.
Okay, that's not true though. Like, this guy's not leaving the relationship, Sadie. You are. Okay, so don't assign motive to him. Don't assume that you know what he wants or what is a good thing for him. You're making this decision again for another reason, and that's that you don't want to be in a relationship during your tour, or whatever the reasoning is. I don't know what it is. Ask her. But guys, if you're in a good relationship with somebody who treats you well and loves you very much, you leaving is not going to do anything to help them. Do not delude yourself. What you need to do instead is, again, look before you leap. Ask the Holy Spirit, ask God, ask the knowledgeable mentors in your life. Ask yourself, is it a good decision for me to enter a relationship with this person and spend the rest of my life with him? If there's an inkling of doubt in my mind, I'm not going to do it. I'm not entering the relationship till I'm confident. That's what needs to happen.
You're an indecisive person.
Indecisive?
Yeah.
Actually, normally not.
I'm indecisive.
He is.
Really?
I'm like very decisive. I'm normally, and this was the thing with Christian that was different. I unintentionally can take lead in like a lot of situations. Like, I think, I lead a business, a ministry, I speak a lot, like challenging message. And so really, typically I'm very decisive and I take like lead. And he was such a good leader, and I had never had someone like that I think I was like, wow, this is actually what I want and what I need. But I was like, I don't want you to have this craziness. Like, I'm not ever going to get to come visit you in college because I can't do that, you know, like I can't come visit you just casually at Auburn, you know, like I would want you to have that, and I'm going to be on tour and it's going to be crazy and you're just going to have to come see me, and I don't want that for you. It was more like, you're so great and you're going to find someone that's so awesome, and I just don't want you to have like the complications of my lifestyle. So anyways, like I call him to break up with him. And I'm like,
I thought it was just a routine phone call.
I know. And so I'm starting to tell him that, like, I'm about to go on tour and my life is really crazy and really busy, and just like over explaining everything. And
you knew that all before you started dating him again. And you guys can do the same thing. You know, you're capable of knowing whether or not it's a good decision to enter the relationship before you do it.
I'm like, so all that to say, like, I just don't think this is going to work out. And he was like, hold on, wait, stop. Which is so funny that you didn't know this was breaking with you, because you didn't even let me. And he was like, wait, stop. And I love that, because again, like, he was leading. He was like, hey, listen. And he said, never apologize for the things God's doing in your life. And that was so shocking to me. And because I think for a lot of the relationships that I was in, I spent so much time saying, like, I'm sorry that I had these opportunities, because maybe it made them feel like insecure about it or something, or I would always just try to like play it low, like play it down what God was doing, or like the opportunities I was getting, because I didn't want anyone else to feel threatened by that or like see me any differently. And he was like, no, like, don't apologize for what God's doing in your life. That's awesome. Like, you're going on tour. And then he said, listen, if it's a win for you and if it's a win for the kingdom, then it's always going to be a win for me. And I literally remember being like, okay.
That's a wonderful response. I mean, and that's again, that's what she should be communicating to him too. Like, if me going on tour is not a win for you, it's not good for us. Like, because again, he needs to be her 100% place of priority above. And again, I'm sure Sadie Robertson was wonderful. I'm just saying, if my wife came to me and said, hey, I'm doing this thing and I'm going to leave you for this thing, that I would feel like that was more of a priority than me. And I feel like there's no way around that. And I want a relationship where I am the priority for my spouse. It needs to go, God is the top, then me, then our children. That's kind of the hierarchy of things. Okay, so I need to be basically right there with you. And if you leave me over, a career opportunity, or what you see as, even if you see it as a ministry, I mean, that's not putting God first. That's putting, that specific outlet of ministry first. I don't think you should do that. You can minister and serve and treat people well in many areas of life. And yeah, touring is a great opportunity, but what matters more, your relationship with your significant other, your partner, who you're moving towards the goal of marriage with, or, an opportunity to go and make money and help people while doing it. Both are good, but one that matters more than the other. That's just what I think. And I would be insulted if my wife told me, use the excuse of a tour or a college opportunity or a work opportunity to leave me. I would be insulted, because in that moment I would realize, holy cow, this woman, I'm not even her. I don't even matter more to her than what she's doing with her time. And I would be insulted. And you can say that her turning down that tour opportunity would be her turning down her ability to witness to other people and be a tool of God. And it's like, okay, yeah, she could do that anywhere. She could do that and stay in town with her husband. Totally fine. Because of her social media following, she can reach just as many people from her hometown with her significant other. That holds no water to me. She's not turning down the call of heaven by staying with this good man who treats her like gold. She's actually saying, I care more about this opportunity, this one opportunity that there are going to be many more of, than my relationship with you.
Shut up. Like, this guy's amazing. I'm going to reel that back. And so he didn't even know I was breaking up with him, because then we just had like a great conversation, and he ended up showing up on tour, like really supporting me. And he's always lived like that. Like, if it's a win for me, it's a win for him. If it's a win for the kingdom, it's a win for us. Mm-hmm. And that was actually something
and if it's a win for him, it should be a win for you. So if maybe the win for him doesn't look like you going on tour and leaving for, an undisclosed amount of time, or a year or 2 years, then maybe it's not a win for you both. And maybe it's not a win for the kingdom, because I think God has called you to take care of there's a priority. Again, there's a hierarchy. You should serve people. Going on tour is great, but that doesn't matter more than your, ability to treat your spouse and serve your spouse well.
I said in our vows and our wedding day, I was like, I remember, like, that's when I knew you were someone that I wanted to marry, because that's the kind of relationship I want to be in. If it's a win for you, it's a win for the kingdom, it's a win for me, and that's how.
Well, you should have known he was the guy you wanted to marry when you started dating. That's where you're losing me, Sadie. That's where you're losing me. Like, you don't realize somebody is your person after you start dating them. You should realize that before, and that's why you start dating them. Because if you're looking and thinking about whether or not you want to make that person your forever partner after you enter the committed relationship, after you define things as serious, and again, maybe they didn't. Maybe Christian and Sadie didn't define their relationship as serious and moving towards the goal of marriage, and once we enter, we're not leaving. Maybe they didn't do that. But if you don't want to date, casually, if you want to date really seriously, and make it something that you're working toward hard, and make it towards something that you're working towards soon in the near future, and you're entering this in a committed and serious way, then bailing out of that is a mistake. You should have realized, before you started dating your partner, that was the one for you. And this is just probably a different dating philosophy that I have than Christian and Sadie here. But if they had my dating philosophy and then went into it anyway, and then she one or the other tries to back out of it, that's where I'm like, holy cow, that's like a serious breach of trust.
How our dynamic works, and you have lived so true to that. But yeah, I went from like a breakup to like, hold up, I'm gonna marry you.
It's so sweet.
Why do I hear that story so often though? Like, people are like, the time that I was going to end it all is when I decided that we were gonna be together forever. I feel like that happens a lot.
It's kind of
have
clarity.
Matt did almost break up with me one time though.
Well, a month in, because you were my first girlfriend, and I was like,
So what, Matt? Sorry. I love Matt Howard, by the way, and I'm not coming down hard on him again, and I'm sure he would probably look back and say the same thing. But it's like, for you guys who are young, don't think that just because somebody's your first girlfriend that you have to break up with her. Like, sheesh, man. Think about it before you enter. And maybe you want to date casual. Go ahead. This show is not for you. I'm not a fan of casual dating. I've discussed the reasons elsewhere on the podcast that you can listen to. But if you're deciding to date serious, then this show is not for you. So my advice is going to seem crazy.
Also going from the perspective of like, okay, I need to decide if I'm gonna marry this girl or not. But it was a month in, I was 18, and then I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like, I have so much life to live. But then
once again, routine phone call. I'm like, what?
So funny.
When did you find out though? When did Sadie end up opening up to you and saying, hey, by the way, that phone call?
Dude, it was like,
I
think it was like post engagement.
Someone else.
It was
post engagement.
Yes,
No,
it was like
really
a random
was.
conversation. I was like, you were dumping me that night?
Someone was like, asked, did you ever
whole-
break up? And I was like, oh yeah, well, I did go to break out with him. And he was like, what?
This is like,
Class dismissed.
Okay, while we're running this ad, I feel like I've been really harping on the idea that, things should be permanent in a relationship. And maybe you disagree with me on that, but that's the way I think you should date. And if you have decided to date that way, then again, I just want to hammer this point home. You need to know everything you need to know prior to entering the relationship.
it was post-marriage, but it was like...
I almost want to say it was post-marriage.
It might have been post-marriage.
We were like, well... past this when someone asked that question. I was like, oh yeah, I went to break up with him, and he was so shocked. I was like, how did you not know that when I literally said I don't think it's gonna work out? But
well, okay, and again, see how this ends up causing problems in their future relationship or their future marriage. Like, they were either engaged here or already married, and he's learning, holy cow, my wife was gonna dump me. I mean, that would cause serious trust issues for me. I mean, I don't know about you guys. Let me know in the comments, or if I'm just crazy here, or if that's too much to expect. If you discovered that your partner was at one time going to dump you and was planning to do so, and for whatever reason backed out at the last second, would that impact your ability to connect with him in a healthy way? It definitely would me.
I think
I don't think you said that.
I did. And yeah, but you were already en route to say no.
I didn't have the ears to hear.
Like, you were like, whenever you're like, I know what I'm gonna say, so you missed the last thing. Yeah, but that was so good for me. I needed that, and yeah, I think maybe I'm decisive on the things that are small, but then those big things you're like, hold up. And because again, when you're doing something wrong for so long, like, I didn't have confidence in myself, like in my decision making, in that, like, is this good? Is this not good? And then all of a sudden it was like so good that I was like, I don't know if I can do this. This is crazy. This is actually happening. Like, it's right in front of me. And then I almost lost it, but thankfully you were anchored.
Christian, did you feel a lot of pressure at that time, dating Sadie, knowing that she's a public figure? You just like this girl, but obviously you don't like strike me as a guy that's like, I love social media and like influencing. So I don't know. I feel like that must have been, I'm guessing, challenging for you to navigate that while you're, dating this girl with the intentions of marriage. Well,
it was cool because like when we started dating, I'm in school at Auburn. I'm taking just.
So maybe in the previous part of the conversation, they had acknowledged that they were dating to get married, because Matt just said that Sadie and Christian were dating with the intention to get married. So that raises alarm bells in my head, because if that's the case, if that's how they started their committed, defined relationship, then holy cow, Sadie just almost left. Like, is that not alarming to anyone in the room but me? Maybe I'm crazy, but surely I'm not the only one who's crazy in that way. Golly, guys.
Business classes, driving up to Nashville every weekend. And something that was cool, because we started dating in like August of like 2018, but you didn't post on like social media until March of 2019, I guess. So we'd had like a well-established relationship for those 7 or 8 months. I felt the intimidation, like especially when you posted. I think I went from like 7,000 followers to like 100,000 followers in like a day.
Holy crap.
So it was like after you posted that. I remember we were on a ski trip. You were flying in. We were skiing. Left my phone at the house. Came back and you had posted a picture of us together, and I had like over 100,000 followers. So it was a weird dynamic, but I had so many things,
which we didn't post until we started talking about getting married.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to post about another relationship I was in, because I was just like, it's got to be the one next time. You know what I mean? Because that was the thing with all that dating stuff. It was so public. So I was like,
oh my gosh. So she went in this relationship knowing this has to be the one, and then she's about to dump that guy. Like, I don't understand that. I do not understand that. Like, sweetheart, if you've been posting these people and over, and you've decided, okay, the next person I'm dating, I need to date serious. This is not just a trial and error, living situation. This is not an experiment I'm running. This is a commitment, and I'm actually going to do this. And then to decide halfway through, because you're going on tour, I think I want to break up with you. This isn't working. This literally isn't working. That's the terminology she used. You can make it work or not. That's powerless language. To say it won't work out is powerless language. You get to decide, sweetheart. You get to decide. And man, that's wild to me. So guys, again, Sadie Robertson's awesome. I feel like I've been slamming Sadie this whole time. Not trying to slam Sadie Robertson this whole time. It's just like, I just don't want you guys, young believers, 18 to 24, looking to pursue the goal of marriage that God has you for, to go through this like a series of experiments, because that is how it's basically practice for divorce. It's practicing for divorce. It's saying, I'm in this with you as long as things are going well. I'm in this thing with you as long as it's not too hard. I'm in this thing with you as long as it's working out. I'm in this thing with you as long as I'm in a good spot to be. Like, that is such powerless language and such a bad way to enter a covenant relationship, because and not even covenant relationship, that's marriage, but like a committed relationship, like, I'm going to marry you one day. If you don't say that, don't do that until you're ready, until you're ready. Like, man,
I don't know how Taylor Swift does it with all the like past relationships, because that's actually got to be so hard, when like everyone's always bringing up your ex-boyfriends, because they're public information. And so I was just like, I don't want to do that again publicly. Like, it's got to be the one. And so we had actually just had our first conversation, like, all right, we really are going to get married. And then we started posting, because I didn't want to just like randomly post and be like, I'm engaged, and then have like no context to who he was, because it wasn't like I was trying to hide him or you didn't want. It was just that we needed to make sure like together it was good.
Well, that's the thing too. That's in hindsight that was cool. Was, yes, we're in a relationship, and everybody kind of knows who you are, and I'm just in a simple business class with 30 people. So it's like, but no one knows who I am besides my the people in my class. But in hindsight, like, if you would have posted, then me going to classes, it would have been different, because people know who I was. But yeah, I mean, I've had moments of insecurity throughout our relation.
Dude, I'd be really insecure if my wife at one time had entered a committed relationship with me and defined things and said, hey, this is it. I've dated a lot in a bad way. I've run the experiment in bad before, but this is it. This is the last time I'm going to date somebody without putting a ring on his finger. And then after she's told him that, she's trying to bail, I would have some serious insecurities and doubts about that too. But I guess I'm going to wrap up here, guys. I guess kind of the main theme of this video is just like, man, if you know, if you know is good, but you need to know before you go. So before you enter the committed relationship with your partner, you need to know that he or she can stick around, and you need to know that you can stick around as well. That's the key to a good marriage. So if you guys have enjoyed, if you have, reach out and let me know what you thought of it through the link in the show notes. You can send me a personalized audio. Well, take it back. That link's not there anymore. Send me a voice message on Instagram or Facebook. I'd love to hear from you there. It would make me feel super connected to you, and it'd make this podcasting system two-way. You can also follow the show on Instagram and Facebook if you're interested in the content we post. So thank you guys so much for listening today, and I will talk to you next time.